Don't let the box score fool you. Julian Sayin did exactly what it took to beat Texas.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Labor Day edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we will discuss why Brian Hartline had the right game plan for Ohio State's Week 1 battle with Texas, as well as if I am satisfied with how the offensive line played. But first, it would be very easy for someone to look at the box score and focus on Julian Sayin's stat line and to say he had a pretty bad game. He was 13 of 20. He had under 150 passing yards. He only threw one passing touchdown. And by many people's standards for Ohio State's quarterbacks, you expect better. But when you put it into context, it was Julian Sayin's first start. And he didn't have a preseason game to get ready for this type of battle. Texas is number one. Texas has a really, really good defense. And also, Brian Hartline was a new play caller. And in context, there's a lot of things that go into why Julian Sayin's stat line was the way that it was. You add in the 3 drops, 2 from Jeremiah Smith, 1 by Max Clare. That 13 of 20 could be a 16 of 20 with over 200 passing yards. You're having a different opinion about how Julian Sayin played. But the box score only tells you so much about how a player played. In the 4 quarters of Julian Sayin's debut as Ohio State's QB1, he got the job done. He was supposed to take care of the football, have control and command of the offense, be poised and precise while he was out there on the field, and he accomplished all 5 of those points. He got the job done. Literally, Ryan Day said his mission for this game was to win. Literally, the quote, "Just win, baby. That's it," end quote. That's exactly what Sayin did. Sayin wasn't trying to go out there and light the world on fire, throw for 450 and 5 tuds. He wasn't trying to do that. No, he was trying to follow the game plan, and he was trying to make sure that Ohio State had at least one more point than Texas at the end of the game. And that's what he did. That's exactly what he did. Now, it was helpful that he had a defense that was lights out. I mean, absolutely lights out. Didn't give up a point until less than 3.5 minutes left in the game. So Ohio State's up 14-0. That's a very, very comfortable lead in a game where Texas couldn't get anything going. Nothing at all. Now, Arch maybe started to force stuff in the 4th quarter that allowed his yardage to start to inflate a little bit because Arch didn't really have a good game. Arch, if you look back, Arch was dinking and dunking, a lot of stuff to the tight end or to the short, to the flats or behind the line of scrimmage. Arch wasn't trying to push the ball down the field because Ohio State did a great job on defense making the picture, the pre-snap picture, very cloudy, and then it got even cloudier after the ball was snapped. So Arch is one thing. It's a whole other conversation. It's a whole other podcast. Go to Locked On Longhorns. They'll tap you to Arch Manning. Julian Sayin, to me, was the man for the job all offseason, and he proved it in this game. 13 of 20 is only one thing. If you even add the 3 drops to his completion number, you're at 16 of 20. You feel a whole lot better about a guy in his first start throwing for 80% of a completion percentage and probably would have had closer to 200 passing yards. I'm cool with that. I'm 100% cool with that. Well, Texas' defense is going to be probably a top 5 unit in the country. They have dudes all over the field. There's a reason why there were 20 NFL scouts and 5 NFL GMs in Columbus for this game. Not just because of Ohio State's talent, but because Texas has dudes as well. And Julian Sayin, even with some of the drops, you're thinking, if this young man is lacking confidence, he's able to bounce back right away after one of his guys drops the ball. Now, luckily, all those drops were early in the game, and they didn't happen in the latter part of the game. But Sayin was ready for the task. He wasn't shying away from battle. And even the pass to Cardinal Tate, that was slightly underthrown. Cardinal Tate had to come back to the ball. But even the fact that Sayin had the wherewithal to know my guy is in a one-on-one situation. He can make this play. Now, that ball has to be thrown better, which you believe it's going to be thrown better over the next few games as he gets more comfortable being in the shoe with 100,000 of his closest friends cheering him on every single play. He's going to get more comfortable. He probably would not have another stat line like this. It would probably be a 70 to 72% passer, probably average 3 passing touchdowns a game. Probably a guy you might see him run for a couple as well in the read option game. I mean, Sayin is the man. And if I am Ryan Day and I am looking at a quarterback at this game to evaluate how he played, what's one thing you're going to look at if he took care of the ball? Because a lot of times the conversation has to go with the running backs or the receivers, the guys that get the ball a lot, to say, well, are they taking care of the ball? When the ball's in their hands, are they catching it? Or is the ball secure? A lot of things you talk about with ball security, taking care of the ball, that goes to when the running back. A lot of young running backs don't get on the field because they can't take care of the ball. But the quarterback touches the ball every single play. And not only is it, hey, do you turn the ball over, but what kind of decisions are you making? Are your passes just way off? Are you not following the blueprint? Are you trying to audible in ways that you shouldn't audible? Are you able to perfectly read what's out there on the field? And one thing that Ryan Day said after the game was that Sayin was saying what he was seeing. A little tongue twister there. I'm glad I got that out there pretty smoothly. I might try it again. Sayin was saying what he was seeing. And for Ryan Day to say that about a young quarterback, that made him feel pretty good. Because if Sayin wasn't saying what he was seeing, Ohio State would have some problems. Ohio State will be in a situation right now on a Monday on Labor Day trying to figure out, well, why didn't you say what you saw? Because if Sayin said something different than what he saw, you're trying to figure out, luckily there's Grambling State and Ohio over the next couple of weeks. So even if he doesn't see things correctly or if he can't say what he saw, there's time to correct that. But he's able, even in his first game against a really good team, to pick up and say, yeah, this is what I saw. That's a sign of a man that's ready for the job. I am glad Julian Sayin is QB1, and I hope a lot of people out there are not trying to look at the stat line and say, well, Jay, whoa, what'd you say? What'd you say his line was? 13 to 20, 126 passing yards? You didn't say that earlier. 1 passing touchdown, a QBR of 74.5. Okay, average yards per completion 6.3. It's okay. Added in 2 rushes for 2 yards. His stat line really wasn't that sexy. Are you sure he's the right man for the job? Yes. Why? Ohio State won. He wasn't the problem with the offense. I'll tell you that right now. The reason why the Ohio State's offense only scored 14 points wasn't because of number 10. Those are more things that we'll discuss later on in the week leading into Ohio State's game against Grambling State on Saturday afternoon. Sayin got the job done. It's week 1. There is no preseason. You don't have any closed-door scrimmages. You don't have any of those things in college football. I wish they did. I wish there was a closed-door scrimmage or even a preseason game to help you get ready for these types of games, but you don't have it. And you got a quarterback that's going out there in his first start. Comfortable. He's calm, cool, and collected, and he's ready to lead Ohio State's offense. And trust me, y'all, he is the right man for the job. Ohio State's offense had the right 6 for the Buckeyes offensive line this past weekend. But am I satisfied with how they played? I'll answer that question next. Quick question for all you college football fans out there. If you go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. For me, it would be the game. These aren't just hats. They are the same vintage styles fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. And guess what? They still go for the same price they did back then. When you use code LOCKEDON, you will get your vintage hat for $16.99. Head to thegamecaps.com. Once again, make sure you go to thegamecaps.com. Grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design and use code LOCKEDON for an exclusive discount because legends wear the game. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets, can feel more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcasts.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's Locked On Podcasts.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. There were also some big men up front that did a good job of helping Julian Sayin out during his debut as Ohio State's QB1. Austin Servell, Luke Montgomery, Carson Hinsman, Tegra Shabola, Philip Daniels, and even Ethan Onianwa were the men up in front of Julian Sayin, making sure he didn't get sacked. And that's one thing you want to do in your debut as a starting quarterback is to not get sacked. But it's easy to want that goal to be out there and for it to be, you want it to be accomplished. It's a goal that is very hard to accomplish, especially when you're going up against a team that has future NFL talent like the Longhorns. But for Julian Sayin, he should be comfortable with the offensive line. But I wouldn't say I'm overly satisfied with them. But it's also week one. So I'm trying to keep it in context and not go overboard and say, oh, this is a big, major problem. No, it is literally week number one. There is no reason to panic. There is no reason to throw in the towel. There is no reason to act like this is the end of the world. It is literally week number one. Am I satisfied with how the O-line played in week one? Pass pro, yeah, he didn't get sacked. He got pressured a little bit. That's going to happen when you got dudes on the other side. But he didn't get sacked. So in that aspect, yes, I am satisfied with that aspect of their game. The one part that I'm not satisfied with, but I'm also not overreacting to, is the fact that Ohio State only had 2.9 yards per rush. That is not acceptable. Not at all. Donaldson had 3.5. Peoples had 2. Sayin had 1. That is not acceptable. But let's not forget, this is week one. This is a new unit, a new 5 or a new 6 that have never played a game together, had game reps together. This is their first time doing that. Oh, let's keep it in context. Servell, who has primarily been an inside guy, moved to left tackle for the very first time. Onianwa played right tackle at Rice, came into Ohio State, thought he would be at left tackle. He played right guard. Luckily, a big man lost some weight because I don't think you would have won a 360-pound guard. Just throwing it out there. So you have a 35-pound guard, which did a pretty good job. And you have Philip Daniels, the transfer from Minnesota, that is now playing right tackle. So on the starting offensive line with Servell, Montgomery, Hinsman, Shabola, and Daniels, only 3 of them are playing the same positions they played a year ago in the playoff. So this is another reason why you should not overreact to some of the numbers you saw or what your eyes saw. No, the run game wasn't the best. But also, it's not something to say that it's just going to be the norm. I think moving forward, when it comes to Donaldson and people's learning how to work with the offensive line and figuring out how to work with those with the holes they're making, it's a literal work in progress. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is finalized. Nothing you're going to see on the film is saying, well, this is a major indictment on how you played. Not at all. No one should overreact. No one should freak out. No one should act like these guys can't get the job. They got the job done 100%. Now, was it an overly impressive game for the O-line? No, it wasn't. Not at all. But that's okay. That is 100% okay because it's game one. I know it's been the theme of the day, and I've been saying it over and over and over again that no one should freak out, but it's literally the first game of the year. Think about it. If you were in Ryan Day's shoes, you have a new D coordinator, you got a new OC, you got a new QB1, you got a lot of moving parts. You got 8 new starters on defense, you got some new faces on offense, a lot of moving parts. It would be very easy for someone that didn't know the full context and say, "Oh, this is a major problem." No, Ryan Day is just fine. I'm gonna say he's fine with how they play. Trust me, I don't think he's fine, but there's no reason to overreact. And I think moving forward for the offensive side of the ball with the offensive line, I think you try different ways to get these guys moving earlier. Now, I'm not saying, you know how I am about rotating. I wonder if Tegra either got dinged up early in the game or if Tegra just can't go 60 plays. And if he can't go 60 plays, that's fine. Luckily, Ohio State has 6 guys that can play on a 5-man unit where you can rotate one guy in, one guy out to keep that unit strong. Also, I am wondering, which I don't think is going to happen with Cervell being a captain, but if he ever comes over and plays a little bit of guard to help out and put Onyanwa out there at tackle, I mean, this year, the next couple of games, you can try that maneuver and see how Onyanwa does at tackle because Ohio State should blow out Grambling State in Ohio. I mean, we're going to do our normal game prep and do our predictions and keys and all of those things, but Ohio State should blow those schools out. So for these next couple of games, if we come back on a Saturday live after the game or Monday or Tuesday in the upcoming week and say, well, Jay, they're still averaging less than 3 yards per carry, then there's a problem. I don't think there's a problem right now. I'm not satisfied with it. I'm satisfied in the pass pro. I'm not satisfied in the run blocking. I think there were some things, some good things. There were some good double teams that we saw. I believe it was Montgomery and Hinchman put a boy on skates, literally put him on skates. And Montgomery did a great job of maneuvering that, using that to get to the second level. Cleanly got there and opened the hole. I believe it was for Donaldson on a play that's in my head right now. These guys are going to be fine. FINE exclamation point fine. It's game one. There's no reason to panic. No, I'm not satisfied. But they have the coaches, they have the film, they have the expertise, they have everything they need to get better and to learn from how they played against Texas. Now in Big Ten play, if this trick continues to where they really can't move people long enough for the running backs to get more hold, bigger hold, then there's an issue. Also, these running backs are learning how to work with Ohio State. West Virginia's running back, West Virginia transfer, and Donaldson, he was about 20 pounds heavier the last time he played football. So that's a little bit different. And Peoples, first time getting some heavy minutes. A lot of things are new with this team. New isn't bad. New is good. And I'm very, very glad that Ohio State has these guys on the roster. I'm not satisfied with how they played, but y'all trust me, they will be fine. You know what's going to be fine? The game plan, because I think Hartline had the right game plan for Ohio State's Week 1 battle with Texas. This episode is brought to you by Rougiette Ready. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rougiette Ready. Rougiette Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast. On average, in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Head to rougiette.com/lockedoncollege and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes on this Labor Day and making this show your first listen of the day. Normally, throughout the season, we will be having shows on Sunday or the day after a game. But for some reason, I was a little under the weather and not feeling the best, which is why there was no show Sunday. There was a live show after the game on Saturday, and then no show Sunday back here on a Monday. So the normally order of operations throughout the season will be a live show after games, and then a show on the following Sunday, on the very next day, and then back to normal Monday through Friday. So you will be getting, on average, 7 shows a week, one for every day of the week. And then in basketball, once you get down that far, there'll be extra shows coming on your feed every single day, because around here, the shows don't stop. The more stuff, the more games are played, the more we have to talk about. Speaking of things to talk about, let's dive into this game plan. Because in the moment, even on the first drive, there are people that may have been saying, I don't like it. And I was one of them. Not gonna lie to you. I didn't like 3 straight runs. I think we documented it here on the show in regards to my thoughts about the 3 straight runs of the opening drive leading into the 4th down drop by Max Clare, which was a perfectly thrown ball by Julian Sayin, might I add. But the 3 straight runs on 3rd and 1, I would have preferred an RPO or play action pass. Now, probably more of the RPO variety than a play action pass, only because Texas was going to put so many resources to stopping the run that an RPO could have been the one thing that would have tripped him up, especially on that play. Now, maybe defensively, Pete Kwiatkowski would have expected it. Maybe, I don't know. But I do think that trying to be a little bit more creative on the opening drive would be the norm for Ohio State moving forward. However, speaking of the context for the day, it's game number 1, but also it was Hartline's first time calling plays. So not only do you have a new starting quarterback, you have some new faces on the offensive line, you have a new starting tight end, you also have a new offensive play caller. And it doesn't matter if Ohio State had the offensive players they had last year when they won the Natty. A new offensive play caller in game number 1 is going to be nervous, especially when you're going up against Texas. So the conservative game plan, honestly, the more I think about it, I don't really have a problem with it. Because if those guys are catching the ball a little bit more, you might see them air the ball out a little bit more. And what are you going to find? They would have been just fine. But by going a little bit more conservative and not trying to put Julian Sayin in a situation that would put him in harm's way, they simply said, let's be conservative. Let's not go all out. You also don't want to put all your cards on the table in game 1. Now, the thing when I say that, you may be thinking, well, Jay, Matt Patricia just pulled out some NFL stuff in week number 1 against Texas. Is he pulling out all of his cards, putting all of them on the table? No. I think Matt Patricia is a great defensive coordinator, especially when you're playing, when he's coaching guys at Ohio State that are future pros. He can pull out some super nerd stuff that we've never thought about, but he used it back in 2005, and all of a sudden you're finding out that Patricia is in his bag once again. He has so many tricks with the guys at Ohio State that you're going to be amazed at some of the things he did. Even as I've seen going around the coffee house stuff, which I had no idea what that was called. To me, it's more of a delayed blitz or a fake drop back that's coming in a blitz. Not so much a coffee house dump, but it was a coffee house dump by ARVEL REESE when he got the sack on Arch Manning. He was up on the line of scrimmage in between the 3-tech of the D end on the right side of the Buckeyes line. And was 3-tech a nose? 3-tech or 1-tech, one side, at one point on that side of the line. But he ended up putting one foot back, his right foot back, and a pivot to go back into coverage, and then he immediately went into blitz. Now, it was a blitzer on the right side as well, so you have him blitzing. You have another DB blitzing on the right side outside of the line. You had 2 more guys on the left side that were basically simulating a blitz. Those 2 guys on the left side drop back into coverage. ARVEL REESE fakes jumping back into coverage. He blitzes. Another guy blitzes outside of the D end on the right side. It's a sack. And that's something that you probably wouldn't normally see in college. When you have guys like a Caleb Downs, Igbinosin, Sonny Styles, ARVEL REESE, guys that are high IQ football players, you can pull stuff like that out in your first game with these guys, and they knock it out of the park. So I think for Hartline, You can't compare Hartline to Patricia. You cannot. No. Even if you had a seasoned quarterback, you probably wouldn't see Hartline go deep into his bag at all, because it's his first time calling plays. Yes, Ryan Day was a safety net. Ryan Day could have vetoed anything, and I wouldn't be shocked if he did, but everything is fine. I do expect, personally, I know it's Monday. We're a few days away from another game. I expect for Ohio State to open up the playbook a little bit more, for the run game to be stronger, for Sayin to air the ball out a little bit more, for Jeremiah Smith to not drop the ball. I mean, I think those 3 drops definitely impacted the play calling, but being conservative, trying to make sure everything is just fine, not trying to do all the crazy explosive plays we're going to see over the next few games, there's nothing wrong with that. Sayin did his job. The O-line did their job. Not overly impressed, but they did their jobs. And I think the O-line will get better. For Hartline, it's not a bad start. Not a bad start at all, because you won. The numbers aren't sexy, but they didn't need to be. I mean, Arch only threw for 170 passing yards. The only really eye-popping, eye-opening number between the passing and rushing numbers from both teams is Texas rushing for 166 yards. Quintravion Wisener, I'm going to call him what his mama calls him, he had 80 yards. CJ Baxter had 40. And so between those two guys, 120 between your top 2 backs in this kind of game, that's doing work. For as great as the Buckeyes defense played over the weekend, they got to do a little bit better job of stopping the run. And I think they'll do just that the next time they play the game. I'm not mad about the play calling offensive. I'm not say mad. He did what he had to do. Just followed it there. Let's just call it what it is. Him and Sayin were on the same path, doing what you have to do to win the game. That's it. But they weren't trying to score 50 points. We couldn't do it anyway. They weren't trying to do all these crazy trick plays. No, it's just finding a way to win. That was it. So the message that Sayin got from Day was probably the same message that Hartline got from Day. Just win. I got to give a hat off to Ryan Day really quickly, and then we're going to close up shop on this show. Ryan Day spent a lot of time with the offense, with the game plan, with Sayin, and making sure that side of the ball was okay. And a lot of that goes into his decision previously to hire a defensive coordinator that can be the head coach of the defense. There will be times that Ryan Day, like we saw last year, will spend a lot of time with the defense to clean things up. But if he can spend time with the offense, especially when there are a couple guys that are pretty green at their positions, he is going to do just that. Not mad about it. Day, great job, great hires, great. Well, I can't really say great hires yet. It's only one game. So I think we're going to be able to have a bigger sample size, maybe in the middle of the season or even at the end of the year, to say if it was a great hire or not. But so far, the game plan fit the description of what Ohio State needed for Texas, which was to score at least one more point than Texas. Don't do anything crazy, but just make sure you win. Y'all, they did just that. They made sure they win. It was a big win for Ohio State, and Locked On is in the midst of another big moment. College football fans, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. I was actually a part of the inaugural college football kickoff myself, and Brad Kellner of Locked On Longhorns were on there previewing the game of the week. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch college football kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. You can follow me on any social media platform or jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Labor Day. We'll see you next time.